Hey, it's Eldrick. So, new God of War Ragnarok trailer just dropped, and I am ecstatic to see this. It's about time. Today we're going to go through frame by frame and see what we can find, and at the end we'll do a bit of speculation as to what will be happening in the story. And of course, spoiler warning. Let's get right into it. Immediately, there are a couple notable things in this first shot. Kratos is sharpening arrows using Atreus' knife, and he's wearing some new, less revealing clothing. Looks professionally made, so I'll bet our boys Brock and Sindri set him up for the onset of winter. The most significant part of his clothing is the big black fur cloak. Remember this. We see a horned figure approach from the blizzard, and we see that it's Atreus. He's grown significantly since their last journey, and he also has some new clothes, featuring a fair amount of yellow and a crosshatch pattern on the shoulder.
Time is running out. The prophecies say Fimbulwinter leads to Ragnarok.
Here we hear Atreus' teenage voice for the first time. This is a well-known prophecy in Norse mythology told by Mimir in the first game, and one that Kratos set in motion by killing Baldur. I didn't fully understand Baldur's last word until researching for this video, but now it makes a lot more sense. It hasn't stopped snowing since the last game. In this shot, we see Atreus holding a small orb with some Norse lettering engraved into it. This might be the stone that Brock gave to Kratos to unlock the Mystic Gateways, although if it is, it's since lost its power. They both look to be preparing to ride on a dog sled.
War is coming. My story doesn't end hiding in these woods. I should be out there, finding out who I am, who Loki is.
This is likely an early game line that establishes a new bit of discord between Kratos and Atreus. I'm willing to bet that Kratos has kept Atreus in the woods at their home since we last left off, and this discord sparks their new journey. He mentions Loki in reference to the prophecies that Faye wrote.
I will not allow you to pick a fight with gods.
Kratos' response here is awfully specific. This response may be based on his past, but perhaps he knows more about the prophecy of Loki than he lets on. We also see Freya transform into a bird,
I don't want to fight anyone.
and then take a hard swing at Kratos' head. As Mimir told us in the first game,
Freya cannot fight, even to defend herself. No living thing may she harm by blade nor spell.
this means she broke that curse, or maybe even had it lifted by Odin himself. We did kill his grandkids.
I just want answers.
And if those answers lead to war with Asgard,
Freya also looks to be wearing the same clothing as she did in the first game.
Maybe that's what Mother wanted.
we do not know what Mother wanted.
Very true, there's next to nothing about Laufey in either Edda. Wonder how well Mimir can write. The room here looks like Kratos' house. The sticky dividers and planked walls look the same. Also, the shield in the back it's the same shield. This is their house.
Well, I recognize that dour expression anywhere.
In this shot, Kratos is not as equipped, and not unexpected if this is their home. He has the axe, but no blades. Mimir points out Kratos' expression, which obviously implies that something happened, but it also makes me wonder if Kratos has made any expression other than dour. Dog sled, dog sled, dog sled, dog sled, dog. Wow, that's Tyr's temple. The entire lake has frozen over in the unending winter caused by Baldur's death, and it looks beautiful. We see a couple glowies that look like the runes in Tyr's temple, and the big old stone falls door on the left is open, which means optional progress from the first game are things they actually did. No more Valkyries. Kratos now has his blades, but no cloak. Brock and Sindri's modifications are gone as well, although that's understandable.
Odin's got tricks up his sleeve we haven't dared to consider.
Does that imply that there are tricks they have considered? Also, awesome statues, and no boy.
What if there was someone who could help us?
This is cut back to the probably start of the game, and I don't think these lines are linked in the actual game.
You mean Tyr, the old god of war in these lands?
Yeah, no, I'm willing to bet that this is Kratos responding to something Mimir said. We also get a beautiful shot here of a city in sunlight. This must not be Midgard, as it's established that Fimbulwinter is set in, but I don't think this is a major place like Asgard either. Asgard is described as a flying fortress in the sky in the Eddas, and based on the mountains and lack of walls, I don't think this is the place.
Who's dead?
Well, for a dead man, Odin seemed pretty keen on seeing he wasn't found.
If he's out there, we gotta find him.
And this is probably the first indication that Tyr is alive, and of course Mimir would know. Also, people! They look to have a dark skin tone, which no other established characters had. Keep this in mind as well. There's a lot to look at in this shot, but most notably is a large bronze statue of a man holding an axe. I have an idea for who this is. I think it might be Argelmir.
Come in! What in all yarns be the happened to him?
Brock and Sindri have set up shop, although it's hard to tell if this is the same location as the city. You can see a few branches of Yggdrasil in the back, but this definitely isn't Tyr's temple if the door isn't 70 tons of sliding metal. Brock has a good line here about Atreus' growth, and we cut to what looks to be either a shop or someone's home.
We're trying to stop Ragnarok, to help people.
Ah, Atreus, you poor little instigator. We see a new face, although it's hard to say who this could be. I have a thought that this might be Litter, or Lighter. The name translates to color, or appearance, which fits pretty well with his eccentric appearance.
And what if the only way to do that is war?
We have Kratos kicking some ass with the blades, and Atreus giving some solid bow whacks in the back to a bunch of froggy people. It's hard to say what these are, since there looks to be a lack of specifically lizard people in Norse mythology, but if I really reach, I get Nick, the Anglo-Saxon version of the Nicker, a Germanic water spirit that lures people to their death, most commonly by drowning them in lakes. You do not recognize the bodies in the water.
War is not the only way.
Kratos reminiscing on Frey. It looks like he's coming to some sort of realization.
Stop thinking like a father for a moment and start thinking like a general.
Ooh, touched a soft spot there, kid.
You seem like a calm and reasonable person.
We hear the voice of Thor over some combat with some gladiator-looking humanoids. Gladiators are ashen and have glowing eyes. Also looks like they have a bit of magic in their weapons. This looks like a cave, albeit it does look like the same realm as before based on the stone.
Are you a calm and reasonable person?
We cut to the teaser at the end of God of War, although this looks to be the actual event that Atreus saw years before. Atreus and Kratos are wearing the same clothing, Atreus is taller, and there's significantly more snow. Thor also has a bit of a graphical downgrade from that cutscene for, I'm willing to bet, gameplay performance. Kratos uses a flashy axe sweep that stuns the man charging at him, who looks to have come in via a cosmic-looking beam. Kinda looks like a Bifrost, not gonna lie. That looks like a big version of the little land sharks Kratos fights in the last game. The terrain looks to be the same realm as the city, and those plants seem to be structured like African flora.
In moments of crisis,
A centaur using a grab attack. This looks like it might be the start of a cutscene based on the camera, probably to introduce the enemy. We see the Dark Elves and Light Elves in combat again here, but this area is mostly underground, and the Dark Elves seem to be losing this time. I'll bet this is Svartalheim, realm of the Dark Elves.
panic does nothing.
Kratos fighting a Light Elf, and I love the design of these boys. They seem to have some sort of pattern of glowing marks running along them. Maybe these are elvish super soldiers that turned the war for the Light Elves. Either that or Kratos did it.
Harness it.
Kratos uses a nice shield slam here, although this looks to be a magic tower shield that isn't attached to Kratos' arm.
Let it serve you.
Atreus using some new moves here, loving that his illusion magic is developing. Kratos kills another one of those glowy-eyed fellas in front of a large door that he pulls open. Cave doesn't look quite the same as the last shot. Maybe you come back here after a detour and this is a different section?
Here!
Are you coming with us?
And here we see the god of war, Tyr. He has the same eyes as Mimir, unsurprisingly, as well as a scar in his forehead. In the first shot, he doesn't even acknowledge Atreus initially, and seems to only be tied down with one rope. He might be malnourished, but there's not a lot of warmth in him. The next shot of Tyr is in a completely different location, although it looks like Tyr is perfectly healthy, standing imposingly over Kratos after being asked the question, though he doesn't seem malicious at all. If anything, he looks mildly annoyed.
You'll get your answer soon enough. Well, some of them.
We hear and see a new character who has been confirmed to be Angerboda, Loki's wife, and a giant. Now that we've gone through all our visuals, I'm gonna put this all together best I can because it's fun to speculate. I'm going to issue a second spoiler warning here because if I'm right at all, that is technically a spoiler. So how's this gonna go chronologically? Well, the earliest shots are probably the ones we have of Kratos without the blades. I'll bet that when Kratos is entering the house here, he's going to retrieve said blades to retrieve Atreus, who must have ran off after being unable to convince Kratos to leave. Kratos catches him at Tyr's temple and brings him home, just in time to meet Thor, who forces them to retreat into a mystic gateway. At this point, Kratos is convinced and they go to Jotunheim, finding a still-living settlement of smaller giants and dwarves, including Angerboda, who has had a vision of Tyr, although doesn't know who he is. Mimir does, though, of course, and he explains it to Kratos. Their new objective becomes finding Tyr. Eventually, they do find him, but he's a hermit, living alone and wanting nothing to do with the other gods. This is where it gets a bit more muddy, chronologically, from what we know. They probably need some sort of elvish MacGuffin to convince Tyr. They find it in return, but find Jotunheim in flames again. Odin found a way back in, and the Aesir invaded, killing most of their people and imprisoning Tyr. This is round 2 with Thor, except it goes better for Kratos and Atreus, successfully killing Thor and fending off the Aesir. Kratos takes Mjolnir and Thor's cloak. Thor's death is seen by Odin, who speaks to Freya. Having watched many of their children die, Odin lifts Freya's curse, allowing her to hunt Kratos and Atreus in Midgard. That's about everything I was able to put together from the trailer. What do you think? If you have your own theories, please do comment them down below. I'd love to see them. If you'd like to see more Norse content, feel free to check out our Valheim series on the channel, although I highly recommend going with one of the latest ones. With that, though, thanks for watching. Have a good day.